Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, the murder suspect in the death of an Edna cheerleader confesses.
A 42-year-old man from Victoria is facing felony charges and a large fine for crimes involving children.
And the Supreme Court revisiting the fight against abortion.
We've got the clouds, we've got the moisture, and we're waiting for the big rain. We've had little light rain today, more tomorrow, but the big stuff is on Friday afternoon. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
And the Tidehaven Tigers sent off in style this morning. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
The funeral of Lisbeth Medina was held Tuesday. The Jackson County Herald Tribune reports the funeral was held in Grand Island, Nebraska, where most of her family lives. The 16-year-old Edna High School cheerleader was found dead December 5th in the apartment she shared with her mother. Authorities say she was murdered. They arrested Rafael Romero. The Herald Tribune reports Romero confessed to the murder. On Sunday night at 8:08, the DPS worked a two-vehicle triple fatal crash on US 90E on the Navidad River Bridge in Lavaca County. 3 people died. Authorities said a 2022 white Honda Accord traveled eastbound on US 90A, while a 2018 Ford Explorer went westbound. The Honda crossed the center line on the Navidad River Bridge and hit the Ford. The Ford then spun into the eastbound lane, hit the guardrail, and went up in flames. 25-year-old Marieli Sanchez had been identified as the driver of the Honda. The driver of the Ford Explorer was identified as David Jones, and the passenger in that car was identified as Carla Jones, both 62, from Hallettsville.
42-year-old Tony Garcia of Victoria was arrested this morning by U.S. Marshals. Garcia was taken into custody in the 3300 block of Cedar Street. U.S. Marshals issued arrest warrants for 2 felony charges, including indecency involving sexual contact with a child. Garcia currently sits at the Victoria County Jail in lieu of $75,000 bond. And the Wharton man arrested last week in El Campo on charges connected to a reported relationship with a runaway teenager is out on bond. The Wharton Journal-Spectator reports 20-year-old Kayla Moreno was arrested by El Campo police December 7th and charged with 4 counts of aggravated sexual assault of a minor and 2 other accounts. His bond on the aggravated sexual assault charges was dropped from $125,000 per charge to $10,000 per charge. And for your viewer poll, we ask you, which mayoral candidate are you supporting right now? Is it Josephine Solis, Dwayne Crocker, Carissa Winters, Peter Brown, Robert Constantine, or Jacob Sauceda? According to our poll, it looks like it's kind of far down. I can't see that,
Let's
but
see it.
Josephine Solis.
38%. The city councilwoman Josephine Solis with 38%.
39%.
But there's a close top 3 right there.
Dwayne Crocker following, and I see some numbers up there in the double digits. So
and Jacob Sauceda in the 20s. Yeah.
That's right. Come to CrossroadsToday.com/vote to take part. And of course, we're going to have an update later on 25 News Now at 6. And now let's take a look at your forecast with Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis.
Thank you very much, Karina. Well, today we had a little bit of light rain. It's been fairly light to moderate around the area. Got things a little wet. But the big stuff is still on its way. This is the storm that's gathering in the Rockies, as you see right there. That's the one that's coming through. And Friday night, I believe we'll have some heavy rain. We'll be talking about that and what to expect for the weekend as well. All that coming up in just a moment. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. The judge overseeing former President Donald Trump's federal case claiming he attempted to overturn the 2020 election ruled today to pause all proceedings. This decision aligns largely with former President's stance that the case should not go to trial until the Supreme Court decides if and when the case should be dismissed. U.S. District Judge Tanya Chatikian ordered a halt to court dates and deadlines, but did not vacate them, and the former president will remain under a gag order.
The Supreme Court says it'll hear appeals that could change hundreds of charges stemming from the Capitol riot, including against 3 defendants in Texas and former President Trump. The justices will hear a case by Joseph Fisher, who wants to dismiss a charge accusing him of obstructing an official proceeding by storming the Capitol to disrupt the certification of President Biden's election victory. Two other January 6th defendants, including Trump, brought similar appeals, the outcome of which will be determined by the Supreme Court's ruling in Fisher's case. From states to the highest court in the land, the battle over abortion laws is intensifying as the 2024 presidential election season draws closer.
Now the nation's top justices say they will consider whether the commonly used abortion drug mifepristone should be restricted, even in states where abortion is still legal.
I saw the news as soon as it broke and my jaw just dropped.
The news that the U.S. Supreme Court will consider whether to restrict the use of mifepristone, a widely used abortion pill used in combination with another drug as one of the most common abortion methods in the country. The mifepristone dispute centers on the FDA's authority to regulate the medication, first approved in 2000. For Allie Phillips, a Democrat running for a Tennessee House seat, the issue is personal.
We were pregnant in November last year. She was deemed incompatible with life outside the womb and inside the womb. The longer I stayed pregnant, the worse my daughter's body was going to get and the higher risk my health was going to become.
Due to Tennessee's near total ban on abortions, Phillips traveled out of state for her procedure, as did Texas resident Kate Cox this week, after the Texas Supreme Court blocked a lower court's ruling granting Cox the right to a medical exceptions abortion. Arizona's Supreme Court is considering whether to uphold their current ban after 15 weeks, signed into law in 2022, or return to a near total ban that dates back to 1864. The U.S. Supreme Court is expected to make their mifepristone ruling by next July, just months before the 2024 presidential election.
There's a small string of hope that these Supreme Court justices will understand that the majority of Americans need and want access to this medication and just abortion care in general.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
And Tuesday, President Joe Biden released a statement on the Texas abortion case, saying it was, quote, outrageous that a woman was forced to leave the state in order to seek an emergency abortion. This after the Texas court said she could not legally terminate her pregnancy. The woman, Kate Cox, a 31-year-old mother of two, found herself more than 20 weeks pregnant with a fetus that will likely die before birth or at most live a few days. Doctors said that if Cox gives birth to the baby, it could rupture her uterus, threatening her future fertility and her life. The president said he will also continue to fight to protect access to reproductive health care and restore Roe v. Wade. One person is dead following an officer-involved shooting in Fort Worth. Tuesday night, officials were called to the scene at a business on North Beach Street shortly after 9 p.m. Responding officers encountered a male suspect when they arrived, who then fled from the officers on foot. During the pursuit, the suspect fired a handgun at officers multiple times. The pursuit ended when the suspect fell on an embankment where he shot himself in the head. The suspect was pronounced dead at a hospital, but their identity has not yet been released.
Law enforcement arrested 18 people from the Houston area for burglaries at Arkansas pharmacies, where they stole drugs valued at over $1 million. U.S. Attorney Jonathan Ross says it's an organized crime ring from Houston's 5th Ward that targeted mom and pop pharmacies in rural Arkansas. Ross said more than 96,000 pills were stolen in burglaries that took place between February of 2022 and November of this year. The investigation was called Rich Off Meds, named after a hashtag the group used to brag online about their wealth.
They traveled by rental car from Texas to Arkansas, where in the early morning hours they would shatter the glass at pharmacy locations, then low crawl on the floor to evade motion detectors, and systematically remove dangerous opioid, benzodiazepine, and other scheduled medications from pharmacy shelves. These narcotics were then returned and distributed to the streets of Houston, Texas.
Investigators recovered $79,000 in cash, 6 guns, and $330,000 in jewelry, a great deal of which was custom made. Here's some of the top headlines you can read in the Port Lavaca Wave. Port O'Connor's Community Garden Club raised $3,000 to turn an empty lot into a community green space and garden. Plus, a local business owner and artist recreated the birth of Jesus Christ through bales of hay. That can be seen at the Nativity exhibit in Port Lavaca. You can read these stories and more at the portlavacawave.com. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. Stay with us. A ceasefire protest in California halts traffic for hours. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, the number of those arrested.
Also ahead, the heroic story of one officer in Indiana and how he was able to save a woman from inside a burning SUV.
A suspect is in custody after police said he shot and killed his ex-girlfriend and her mother in a condominium in Miami Wednesday morning. Miami police officials said 22-year-old Isbelcy Olvera and her mother, 50-year-old Irisbel Cartala, were found shot to death inside a unit in the building. Police said a man who is Olvera's ex-boyfriend somehow made his way into the building and ambushed the women. The man later turned himself in to West Miami police and confessed to the crime, but his identity has not been released.
The Biden administration does not plan to place conditions on military aid to Israel. This is despite pressure from Democratic lawmakers and human rights organizations who have been calling for the U.S. to stop providing weapons unless Israel does more to protect Palestinians in Gaza. President Joe Biden says he spoke with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about Israel's military campaign and the need for a two-state solution, but also said the U.S. isn't going to do anything to, quote, other than protect Israel in the process, unquote. Protesters demanding a ceasefire in Gaza stop traffic on a major Los Angeles freeway this Wednesday morning. The demonstrators lined up and locked arms on the southbound side of 110 freeway connecting downtown Los Angeles, Long Beach, and San Gabriel Valley. It caused a massive backup, and officers from the California Highway Patrol were on the scene and reportedly made 75 arrests in order to get traffic flowing again.
Tesla is recalling nearly 2 million cars to limit the use of its autopilot feature. This comes after a review of nearly 1,000 crashes in which the feature was engaged. The update would limit the auto steer feature if a driver repeatedly fails to demonstrate they are ready to resume control of the car while the feature is on. In a recent Washington Post investigation, auto assist was used when it should not have been in at least 8 serious accidents, including some fatalities. A police officer in Indiana who comes from a long line of public servants helped save a woman from a burning car.
And the whole incident was caught on camera. Take a look.
Officer Josh Wheat has only served with the Bargersville Police Department for 1 year, but the instinct to save others is in his blood.
My dad was a firefighter, my twin brother's a firefighter, my mom's a nurse, my sister's a nurse.
That instinct was put to the test Friday night.
County 514, there's still an occupant in the car.
Wheat and his partner, Officer Cody St. John, needed to save this woman from her burning SUV and fast.
As we're walking up, we see the car is on fire, and we pretty much just do our job.
Josh, get that. Climb to me, okay?
Wheat grabbed the fire extinguisher to fight the flames like his father or twin brother. St. John reached for the woman.
Okay, climb to me. I'm not worried about that right now. Climb to me.
Wheat did his job, while St. John took the lead to get the woman out safely. The back door didn't work, so he decided to open up the trunk instead.
Yeah, we got one. She's getting out right now. Come out the back.
It's critical for us young officers to have those laterals that have the experience and the training to pass along to us, and I can't thank them enough.
Hold on to me.
Wheaton St. John got the woman out together,
Hey, Josh, help.
pushing through pain
I think my ankle's broken.
to save a life.
Let's go straight, buddy.
That's why Wheat followed his heart into the force.
To save this lady's life is something that I'll never forget, and something that I'm truly grateful to have experienced.
The Wheat twins ended up in different careers for the same reason, to be there when others are in danger.
Thank you, Jesus.
Here's a look at some of the top headlines you'll find in the Cuero Record. The Cuero Regional Hospital is asking residents to take part in their Health Connect initiative as a way to better improve the health care in the community. And Christmas is here in downtown Cuero. Read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
Well, good evening, everyone. We are looking at 59 degrees right about now. We've obviously had the rain, the light rain mostly in our area. We had a high of 64. We got 1/1400ths of an inch of rain out at the airport. That brings December to 19, so we're not exactly on the wet side. However, all that's going to change, I believe, on Friday. That's when the big rain comes in. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment. Stay tuned. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're looking at temperatures in the upper 50s pretty much everywhere except along the coast. Port O'Connor's at 62. Gonzales is at 60. It looks like Nixon's over at 62 as well. We did have the little light rain today. It was not a big washout, but this is just, shall we say, setting the stage for the next thing. You notice that our winds are coming out of the northeast. They're rather brisk. They were up into the 20-mile-an-hour range today, but that also helps to pile up the moisture on top of us. Well, now you can see how things are coming together for the rain event that we're talking about. We've got, of course, that light rain activity moving up. This is all this air mass is getting more and more moist as we go by the day by day. But the main event is right here. You can see the circulation right about there. That's the storm that's getting ready, and they've got heavier thunder showers up in the Panhandle. It's turning to ice in the plains, already snow falling down throughout many areas, and all kinds of watches and warnings out there. While you'll notice that we're, about 59, it's only in the 50s in the West Texas, but the cold air has not moved out yet. That is coming after Friday when the whole thing moves. You notice right about here. You see that dip? That's the low, the cold air that's going to be rolling across the plains and triggering off all that shower activity. So once again, we'll go through Future Tracker out day by day. We start off here on your Wednesday. By Thursday, the storm starts to gather a little bit of motion, and then it starts rolling on top of us. We're looking for all of this to be here Friday evening. That's when I expect the heaviest rain activity to be occurring. How much rain? It's always hard to predict, but right now the models are telling me from a half an inch to maybe an inch. Okay, so let's just see how much it goes. And a lot of this is because it's moving very rapidly. In fact, you can see that by Saturday morning, it'll pull out of here, and then by Sunday, it is long gone. We've got a very nice looking Saturday and Sunday, because by then we'll be getting the cool air moving through our area, and we'll watch and wait for maybe about 3 days until things turn around. So overnight, we'll get down to the upper 50s, not much colder than where we are right now. And tomorrow we'll get up into the 60s. We'll not see a lot of sun, but 1 or 2 rays, and that's about it. And that should get us into the 60s. So here's what we expect for your day planner in Port Lavaca. 59 in the morning, getting up to about 67 in the afternoon. Cloudy skies most of the day. 53 in the morning and 66 tomorrow in Cuero with cloudy skies and 1 or 2 rays of sunshine. But here's what we're at, the main event will be on Friday. The frontal system will come through about sundown. So the rain will start light and then increase, and it'll be heaviest Friday evening. Yes, that's when we're having our company Christmas party. So we're going to have to deal with that. And also, those of you that might be driving out of town, just consider that. Coming back on Sunday, it's going to be gorgeous. We're looking for very nice weather on Saturday and Sunday, and even Monday, Tuesday, as we get cool, but not particularly cold weather, getting chilly, only a high of about 62. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thanks, Mac. And now here's Zach Brown with your sports.
We have more scores from around the area last night, and we have more Draymond Green violence. I'll have that in sports. The Tidehaven Tigers were sent off to Arlington, and they did it in fashion. These are shots sent in by you guys. LaDarian Stone of the Bay City Sentinel shared a lot of photos of the players, cheerleaders, and fans excited to send the Roll Tide off, hoping for a state championship. One fan saying all she wants for Christmas is a state title. The send-off happened at about 9:30 this morning as the Tiger faithful watch them get on the bus. Their game is tomorrow at 7 p.m. against the defending state champion Gunner Tigers. Victoria East alum Bailey Zappi just balled out against the Steelers this past week with 3 touchdown passes. One of those to former Cowboy Ezekiel Elliott. Well, this week he's going to have to do it against the Chiefs team that's coming off a tough loss to Buffalo. He says the Pats defense will have their hands full with Pat Mahomes, and he's got his full with the Chiefs defense.
I mean, just watching a lot of film, understanding, what they like to do. They do a lot of things, so
I think a lot of it just comes down to the communication between me and DA and the offensive line, trying to get on the same page. As long as we're on the same page, everything will hopefully go well. But you're just trying to, believe in the offensive line that they're going to pick up the pressures, whatever they bring, and just being able to stand back there confidently and just, take care of the football and throw the, open guys and let them make plays.
It will be his second consecutive start. The Shiner Lady Comanches took on the Maidens of Ganado. That game was in Shiner. And how about Ganado? I guess the bank was open late. 3-ball off the glass, but Shiner right back down the court. Great ball movement, and they're just simply too big. They just flip it up, and then Shiner gets the big win over district rival Ganado, 58-19. The Goliad Tigerettes won their matchup against Sinton. The score down in Tiger Country, 36-20. Very low scoring, but a win is a win. Goliad gets Lavernia on December 15th. They still have a ways to go before reaching district play. The Edna Cowgirls able to take down the Hallisville Brahmas in their district meeting last night. Final score in that one, 59-31. Edna moves to 2-0 in district play and improves to 13-4. Hallettsville falls to 14-4. The Victoria East Titans boys hit the road to Corpus Christi Moody and returned home with the win. They won 54-34. That was their first district game of the year. Nice to open it with a win. But at least our area players aren't beating each other up on the court at least. Another day, another act of violence from Draymond Green, who for absolutely no reason decided to turn around and drill Yusuf Nurkic in the face. Green apologized afterwards and said he did not mean to hit Nurkic. Although the video looks pretty bad to say the least, Nurkic did not seem to buy the apology, saying, quote, "That brother needs help," end quote. No word just yet on how long Draymond Green will be suspended. All right, well, that's it for your sports. Don and Karina, back to you.
That's the kind of violence, Zach, that the NBA should be very worried about right there.
Absolutely. I mean, Draymond's got a lot of history. I don't know. They take your past into consideration. This could be a double-digit suspension. That's bad.
At least.
Bad.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how this unfolds. But we're going to be back in a moment. How one nonprofit charity called Lasagna Love continues to feed those in need.
Finally tonight, the purpose of a group called Lasagna Love. is to spread kindness by crafting a fresh, layered, delicious pasta dish right to your doorstep. No questions asked, no payment required. It's now a global nonprofit with around 45,000 volunteers in the U.S. alone. Just in southern Minnesota, they have delivered more than 350,000 lasagnas, impacting more than 1.5 million families and individuals. The home-cooked lasagnas can be delivered ready to eat or refrigerated to enjoy later. This actually started in Hawaii about 15 years ago, and it spread to some different places like there in southern Minnesota and into Wisconsin. And there you see the numbers. People like those, excuse me, they love those lasagnas. Yes. And
So-
this is
so
lasagna weather.
You make a lasagna and you give it to someone?
Yeah, I mean, you got to call ahead or get on the the website, and then you get it, and no payment needed, and no
How
questions.
nice. Now that sounds good. All right. Well, it is good lasagna weather tonight. It's rather cool or chilly. We'll have some drizzle again tomorrow, but Friday night is the main event. That's when I expect the heavy rain to arrive in the afternoon hours, and certainly by evening it'll be coming down fairly strong. We're looking for possibly a half an inch to maybe an inch, and then it clears up just in time for Saturday morning.
All right, thank you, Mac, and thanks for joining us.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.